Hello, we are live. Hello to everybody. Hello. Hi, my name is Jill Brown, and today we're going to be talking about the event Countdown to Spring. Today we're going to be going over landscape inventory. So I'm here in my backyard here in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and we're going to be going over our landscape inventory. I'm going to teach you guys how to do that in your backyard. So you can hear this is live, and the dogs are definitely out and about. They're excited that somebody is outside filming in their backyard. So I wanted to say welcome to this event. This is on Periscope here, and I am Jill Brown. I am a landscape architect who does landscape coaching for homeowners, and I help homeowners figure out their best yard, figure out what kind of yard would be best for them. And today we are doing my Countdown to Spring event, and what that is it is a 6-week event leading up to March 20th, where we count down the days to spring and we get your yard all ready for spring. So I'm excited about the event. This first week we're going to be this is our welcome week, and today we're going to be talking about a landscape inventory. It's pretty windy here today. Today we're going to go over how to do a landscape inventory. Next weekend we're going to do weed management and the best things to do in your yard to manage those weeds. We're also going to be talking about the week after tools. We're also going into pruning, cleaning up, and then the final week is going to be a mixture of compost and water and watering, and how to water your plants and all those things in your backyard to get them ready for springtime and for all your projects coming up this spring. So again, my name is Jill Brown. Thank you for joining us. This is our Periscope event, our live countdown to spring event here in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I'm going to be showing you my yard, and I have not done anything to it this winter. So it is as it was left over Thanksgiving. I haven't done anything. So we're going to go over first up the landscape inventory and how to do that. And when I talk about that, what I mean is we're going to take a look at what we have to do in your yard so that we can figure out what we're going to be cleaning and what we're going to be taking care of or pruning, and just kind of getting us the big picture of what we have to do in our yards before spring comes. So we'll take a walk around my yard and go over that. Now, the Countdown to Spring event, you can find out more information about that over at mylandscapecoach.com, Countdoor to Spring. So let me CTSE, so mylandscapecoach.com, CTSE, and that will give you all the links to get on and to jump on board this event. And this event comes with weekly emails, weekly preps. We have some checklists and these videos to help you get your yard ready for spring. Okay, so let's get started. Today, as I said, we're going to talk about making a landscape inventory, and it's sort of like a maintenance inventory. So what are the tasks that we need to do this year to clean up our yard, to get it ready for spring? And the first thing we need to do is to observe. So we need to observe what is going on in our yard. So I'm going to flip the camera here so we can look at the yard. Okay, so this is my backyard, and this could be for you any yard of yours. So it could be your side yard, your backyard, your front yard. It probably most likely will be all of your yards. So as you can see, not much has been done in my yard. Let's see if we can get a close-up of these leaves. They're everywhere. As most of you know, people that follow my blog at mylandscapecoach.com, I do not pick up my leaves. So I put them on my plants, and we'll take a look at that. So you can see right behind that green stool is a look at the leaves and the leaves that have been collected. So the first step we want to do in making an inventory of our yard, and as far as making an inventory of what we want to clean up, is take a look at our yard. So, and observe it, and you can observe it from different vantage points. So this is one of my side areas, and you can see here, if I observe it, what I'll be looking at is saying, oh, well, it looks like there's a bunch of leaves there that'll need to get picked up and put in the green waste compost pile. If you look closely, you can see I've got some green sprouts coming up, so that's something I'm observing. And you can see they're all coming up from the ground, but above them are the spent materials from last year, so the old flower stalks from last year. So we'll go over what to do with those in this pruning event, but I just want to show you when we observe, literally, we just need about 5 minutes just to walk outside and see what's going on. And this is my backyard, and you can see I have not moved my pool. So it probably has ice in it. Not too cool. I'm a little embarrassed you guys get to see that. But I have removed pillows and cushions from my furniture, because that is something I do to prepare for winter. As I remove, see those butterfly chairs, I remove the material from there. So we're looking at some of my garden beds. You can see there are leaves on there. And all of my plants have been tucked in for winter. You can see this is lamb's ear, it's coming up. But I got a lot of work to do. So when we do this landscape inventory, the first step is to observe this yard and your yard. And the next step will be to write down what you observed. So we're gonna go back here. I've got 3 boys. You can see that I'm gonna have a lot of equipment and fun outdoor play stuff. But let's see, we're taking a look at my wood pile. Not so organized there. This is blue grama grass and the cactus. Now, I'm observing that cactus, and there's a zip line in there, which is pretty cool for the kids, but I actually despise that view of my my shed there. That's annoying. Now, that's not something I would do to prepare for spring, is to deal with that shed. That'll be a project I do this summer, but that's annoying me, so I'll probably write it down on my inventory. So one thing I'm observing is that these grasses, which were at their heyday here in November, are now ready to be pruned. They're ready to be trimmed down to make this look like a lawn again. So these are all native grasses. So they'll need to be pruned, they'll be trimmed back. We've got these leaves going on. You can see there's an area of my yard that has a playground. So when we draw out this inventory, take note of your spaces. So this is a space of mine, so this is a playground. So that would probably be a large space. Then next to it is this big grass area. So that's another large space. Then you see that shed. We have behind the fence, that's another space. So think about your yard by breaking it up into different spaces. And that way you can tackle the maintenance and the pruning and all the things necessary to attend in your yard. You can tackle it by space, so it seems more doable and more achievable. Because, you know, it's a little stressful getting your yard ready for spring here. Alright, so this is exciting. This is the first time I'm back here. I'm seeing a bunch of new penstemon growth coming up. And this is what's exciting is that when you tuck your plants in for the winter, you get to come out with the leaves. When you tuck them in for the winter with your leaves and you come out and check it out, it's so awesome because there's these little surprises that you get to see. So here's some flax. So I'll need to trim all this stuff hitting the camera, but that little baby flax is ready to go. It's all excited about the upcoming springtime. So I'll take a note. This is one of the spaces in my yard that I kind of call my cutting garden. So I'll take note, my cutting garden needs to be the dead, spent flowers, perennial flowers need to be pruned. So we'll walk back and you can just see, take a little look, observe all the spaces. So I have a patio area, I have a cistern, all of these things. So we'll just mark them using big circles and small circles on our plan, and then we'll be ready to tackle the yard and prep it for spring. Okay, so we're gonna go this was my observation. So see, it took about just a few minutes where we observed the backyard, and that's it. We just observed the backyard, and now we'll get it ready for spring. So welcome new users here. We are taking a tour of the backyard, and here at mylandscapecoach.com, we're taking a tour of the backyard and checking out what we need to do to get it ready for spring. Okay, so the first step was observe, and the second step is going to be to write that down and to make your landscape inventory. And one of the things that in making a landscape inventory, we talked about that, I sent this on the email, but that we need to write that down and draw that down. So get a piece of paper, 8.5 by 11, and a pen, and what we'll do is we'll draw down those spaces that we saw. And those spaces are, let's see, they are, you can do circles, you can do large spaces with your circles, you can do smaller spaces with smaller circles, and then connect them and in regards to their relationship with each other. Okay, so I'm going to show you here a piece of paper to make that drawing. And what you'll want to do is, when we do drawings, we look at our yard, let's see, when we do landscape drawings and things like that for our yard to prep it for spring, welcome, what we do is we do those drawings looking from the top down. And so we'll want to draw out what our space looks like from the top down. Now, if that is too complicated for you to do, and it is for some people, what you can do is go to googleearth.com and you can get a free aerial image of your yard. And so I have one here of my yard that you can look at to see how that would work. And I have step-by-step instructions over on the blog on how to get up, how to connect up with Google Earth. But it is a free software, and it lets you take aerial images of your yard. So let's take a... Okay, so here is an aerial image of my yard, and I got that off of Google Earth. So that is one of the tips that I use for those of you that struggle at the thought of trying to do something with your yard. As far as, when you get started, you want to draw a plan and write something down. So here is that. Okay, so we observed the backyard, and we observed the cleaning and all of the tasks that need to be done in our yard. So the next step is to write that down and to figure out where do those tasks need to happen and how involved are they going to be. And that will just help us along these next 6 weeks so we can know what tasks we have to take care of and then put a big check mark on them when they're done. I am huge at task lists and checklists. Okay, so when we looked at my backyard, I had this large space back here. That was my lawn. It's my native lawn. And the tasks there are going to be, let's see, I said that for this area I would need to trim it and then clean up the leaves and probably mow some of it and then rake. Okay, then you can see over here was that area where I have my water feature, and that area had a bunch of leaf litter, so I need to clean up the leaf litter. Okay, so I also have this garden area here that also had leaf litter, so that's going to be cleaned up. Okay, let's see. So we have that big area, which is the big task, that lawn. Here's a big tree, and so I will probably need to do some pruning on this tree. I also have garden areas here that were nicely mulched, so I'm excited that the mulch and the leaf held over the winter. And so I think all that needs to happen on there will just be clean up the leaf litter. So let's see, we have a lot of leaf litter cleanup. We have this mowing and this large trimming and cleanup area. We have pruning of this tree. I do have some other small trees in here that probably have a quince that probably needs to be pruned. And let's see, I have some New Mexico olives under here. I think they were looking okay, but I did say that this was my cutting garden, my flower cut garden, and that needed to be pruned. The old stems from the perennials. And then this was that playground area. It looked pretty clean. I think typically all I have to do in that playground area is remulch it, because it's super important to have mulch down underneath area where kids are playing. So I'm gonna need to remulch that area. Okay, and then you didn't see it, but I did have that fence back in here. And behind that fence, I have, let's see, behind that fence, I probably need to do some remulching as well. And I think that's it. And of course, I did talk about how I despise looking at this shed, and I want to put art on there. Well, it might not necessarily be a spring project, but I'm going to mark it down because I know that I want to take care of that in the future. Okay, now if you weren't able to get your aerial image printed out, then what you can do is we can just take a regular piece of paper and we can just draw out my yard. We just draw this out here. So my yard is an L shape. So we draw the house out. My house is an L shape. We draw this house. We draw the big fence here. Let's see. We draw this fence. I know I had this area that I needed to do leaf litter. Leaf litter. I had this garden area that I had leaf litter and trimming. I had the big lawn space. So you see how anybody can do this. Anybody can take a step back and observe their garden and draw it out and create a landscape inventory for what they need to do to prep for spring. So, and I had my playground here. You just use circles, simple as that. So this is my lawn. I said I needed to mow this. I had the cutting garden over here. And I said I needed leaf litter and to trim. And I had this tree that needed to be pruned. Ooh. All right, it's a little windy today. So we pruned that tree. And then I had this shed here. And I want to do art on that shed. So feel free, if you are walking around and observing your yard and observing all of the stuff that needs to be done, feel free to also mark down the cool things you want to do come springtime. Now I forgot to mention, I can see them in the corner of my eye here, is right here I have these huge chamisas plants, and chamisa is the Spanish word for shrub, but it's called chamisa here. In New Mexico I have this huge plant that needs to get trimmed, so I'll need to prune that and I'll show you right there. That's this plant here. It needs to get trimmed. It's just a bunch of mess right now with these leaves underneath it. I will trim that almost to the ground, back to the ground, and probably about 6 inches. But we'll go over that when that happens. But I need to mark that down because I have forgotten to do that in years past, and it's quite frustrating. Okay, so that pretty much sums up our countdown to spring, our first live event here on Periscope. Thank you so much for joining me here. This will be replayed for all of you that missed it over on the email addresses. Let's see, I'll be sending this out over on the Countdown to Spring email. So there's a look at the plan. We had it on just 8.5 by 11 paper, and then we have it on our aerial. And that is the plan that we make when we are looking at how we clean up our yard for spring. So now remember, next week we are going to be doing weed management. So we'll be going over all of the weeds that you're probably getting in your backyard right now and how to manage those. Some of those you can eat and some of those we want to prevent the weeds that come here in the spring. So next week, join me live, or who knows, join me though on video. We'll be doing the weed management. And then after that we'll move to tools, pruning, cleanup, and the final week of prep. So thanks so much for joining me at the Countdown to Spring event, and we will see you on the emails. Talk to you later. Bye.